here we are with this week's piece. This is a single tray table that I got at an estate sale. I think I paid about $1 for it. It's obviously was part of a set. However, there was only one left. It's pretty dirty and it needs some cleaning. The mechanism works good. It folds up nicely and it will be put away. I plan to use this in my house, so I want to make it colorful and pretty and cheerful to use. Like back in the day when they did them, I think they, I'm just guessing, probably in the early 1900s when they came out with the folding tray tables. It could even be earlier than that, but they tended to be very decorative. So I want to go back to that era. We'll see what we do from here, but this is my basic start for decorating. I have a paint Couture, deep pink. It's like a fuchsia color, really. It's kind of purpley pinkish. And then I have the Apricot by Dixie Belle. And I have some leftover transfers. I've used this Burgundy Rose Garden transfer from Redesign with Prima before on other pieces, and I have quite a bit left, so I think there'll be plenty for decorating. We're going to start with that, and then we'll see what else we'll do with it. Usually when I'm designing something, I have sort of a plan, and then I see what I have, and then I go from there. Sometimes I add, sometimes I pull back from what I originally thought I was going to use. So yeah, I hope you'll watch it all the way through, and hopefully it will be something that doesn't need a lot of fixing, so we'll get right into it. I'm going to wash it down first, and I'll do it off camera. It's very dirty. I need to scrub it with some Dawn dish liquid and get it clean enough to work on. So yeah, let's do that. Oh, I could fix that. So after cleaning it and sanding it, I did find a little spot right here where I think it's just a defect in where it was made. It has a little bit of a divot right here. So I have some epoxy putty, and I am just going to fill that in with some epoxy putty right now. I think I'm going to need 2 hands to do this. I'll catch up later. Okay, so I totally changed my mind on the color, and I am going to do this color because it's so pretty. I think it's much better than my original choice, so yeah. So I looked these up and they were $10.58 or something like that, around $11 at Walmart. So yeah, not the most expensive piece of furniture I've ever refinished. So I set up this morning a little table next to me so that I have my brushes, a place to put my brushes, my paints, and a mister bottle. And I am going to also grab a rag. Okay. So, yep. Now I have filled some spots. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty good. It looks a lot better. It had some dents in it, and I filled them with some wood putty. And yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some nice fresh paint here. And I am actually going to give that a spray just to make sure my paint flows nicely. This is the second coat, of course. Okay, I had to stir that up a little bit. Let's see if I can actually wipe this down a little. It just had too many nits on it. Try that again. Make sure it's not the paint. No, it's not the brush. It must have been the rag. Okay, we're going to let that dry because I have to sand it down because it has little nits in it. So hopefully I got some of that lint out of there, but I'm going to wash them off a little bit and see if that will help. Okay, I let it dry, I sanded it down and cleaned it off, and I'm going to start over again. Okay, so I sanded it down a little more and wiped it down. Because it's hot today, I put my brushes in a plastic bag in between because there's just a lot of painting here. Okay. Part of my problem might be that the breeze is bringing in little lints. Eh.
I collected samples from Sergeant Buchanan and Trooper Proctor. So I physically swabbed the inside of their mouths with cotton swab and collected the evidence, sealed it up in a Google swab kit, photographed it, and brought it back to the department. I entered into the evidence. And did you guys before the collection and securing of the items, did you guys inform me that any presentation on the swab? That is, with reference to those items, sometimes we use inform that those items would be transferred to a voice technology lab and located. So, and where there's specific instructions as far as shipping was concerned that were provided by voice technology lab. Yes. And shipping that was occurred in this case, that informed me with what we provided as far as the policy protocol for shipping those technical materials. It was. Thanks. Anything? We have no questions. Bye. Thank you. Windows 59. When I said it would be quick, yeah, John, call me some Nicholas Bradford this hand. Witness number 60. They swabbed Proctor and Buchnick to say that they tested their DNA, or they submitted their DNA to test against any DNA that came back from the pieces of the car, etc. So, next witness, right? That witness was called for laying proper foundation. Sir, please be sciencey. Hi. Do you have medical training, sir? Please go. Did you do DNA? You might have done DNA. That would make sense next in order. Good afternoon. This is still a point. Record, BRADFORD. And so that's, I'm not going for you, but that's what you do. I would be to split that. I'm a DNA analyst for Burgundy Technology in Warden, Virginia. There we go. Definitely have to be sorry about that. DNA. It's Burgundy Technology in Warden, Virginia. Correct. Chat. Just remind you to thirst responsibly because sometimes we get a little prickly when it is a female witness. So just let's us thirst responsibly. This is the law nerd chat. We can all nerd together, just in a respectful way. So we can thirst on all of our witnesses. Responsibly. Every bachelor of science in technology from technology and human. All of you really talk nerdy to me, sir. Talk nerdy. I have a Master of Forensic Science in Forensic Molecular Biology from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Hey! I remember working at George Washington. It was about 2011. We're still at 1.25. I started at Lee at about 2009. Yes. And when you started with Lab, what was the position or what department? I was a DNA technician. We assisted the analysts with their case file, and we primarily operated the different robotics and the different processes in the lab. What other cool shit do you do?
She's so little. I wonder if I could capture her with some food. Note to self, bring food to shop. A family of 3 skunks just went running past the front door of my barn, all huddled together, and I was painting, and it scared me. And I said, whoa, and they kind of went a little bit faster, but they weren't scared enough to spray. But can you imagine if they sprayed into the front of my barn and everything I have would be ruined? Absolutely ruined. Okay, so this morning we're going to start with putting some of the transfers on. And yeah, I'm going to kind of load this up with transfers actually, and I'm going to start with this placement. So I have plenty of these transfers for this table. I'm keeping my fingers off of the actual artwork itself, and I'm going to, choose a place to start it. You do have these lines that help you, the registration lines, if you're curious about what's straight and what's not. Though with something like this, there really isn't, you can put it any direction you want to, and it would be considered straight just based on the way that you like it. I like to rub over the entire piece of art to kind of warm it up. And then once I have just covered the entire piece with whatever implement I'm using, this time I'm using the little wooden stick that comes with the Redesign with Prima transfers to rub that down. And this is a really nice big transfer. A nice big artwork is what I really meant to say. There's not too many small details. So there's a lot less to worry about when you're pulling it off. One thing I will say is that if you get these edges around the artwork nice and warm and adhered to your surface, it will leave less halo. So even though a little additional rubbing at this point in the work might seem like overkill, it actually helps later on because it won't leave you as much halo. It's not total. I mean, you will still leave a little bit of halo with it, but not too bad. And I'm going to speed it up here so that you're not going crazy watching me. Okay, so you could see how tricky that was to put the transfer on this side. And I was thinking about it, and when I was putting the transfer on this side, it was so much easier. And then I realized that this side has the strictly chalk paint, and this side has the chalk mineral paint with some kind of top coat on it, that lavender color. It's a paint Couture. Nice paint. It blends okay. You know, I didn't really have any trouble blending it. But these transfers go down, these particular transfers, the Redesign with Prima, they go down um, without any kind of top coat. So they're supposed to go on the raw paint. Now, can you put them on paint that's, you know, already been touched? Yes, you can, but you could see how much more difficult that was. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to overlap this a little because you see how this is an edge? So in order to hide that, I put a couple of layers down, and now I'm just going to kind of jump over this layer just a little bit and hide that edge by putting this one on top, and this one I'll wrap underneath. So yeah, that's what it was. It was it was because it's going down on chalk paint. Now, I wasn't going to make you watch this transfer go down all the way through, but I wanted to show you how much more different it is when you are putting it down on the chalk paint. And this is the way it's supposed to go down. You know, it's not supposed to be so much rubbing and trying to get that transfer to adhere. It's normally really easy with the redesign with Prima, but you know, you have to be aware that they're going to act differently on different substrates, which, so I'm saying one side is chalk paint, the other is a chalk paint, a chalk mineral paint with a top coat in it, so that makes all the difference in the world. Okay, not too bad. Um, I will be going over it. I'm going to let it settle for a little while and see if I can't let it settle and adhere. Then I'll go over it with like a little Scotch-Brite pad. And then lastly, I'm going to put on a top coat so it doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, it was tricky, but we did it. I just have a light Scotch-Brite pad here. I'm going to go over the edges with that. Just in case. So I'm going to add some stenciling in and around the florals, and I'm going to use the Art Alchemy white gold metallic wax, and I am also using the Deco Art. Trying to figure out what style it is. I think it's just called Americana. So it's a leaf pattern. So it'll put a very subtle background on there. And yeah, I'm going to apply it with a sea sponge. And yeah, so let's do that. I poured out my gilding wax on a piece of paper on the side. Now this has acrylic covering on it, a top coat. So if for some reason I don't like this, I can use a regular wax, like a Howard's Citrus Shield, and that will take it off. So I wouldn't put the gilding wax on the raw paint. I mean, I can, and I have. But for this one, I'm just going to try to see what this looks like without it. So I'm going to kind of cross over my blending right here. Yeah, just going to not put too much, not too much on that sponge. full disclosure on the time, I left it going accidentally, I would guess, for almost an hour or so, so I'm going to call it 4 hours. Thank you for watching this week's video. This week, I took a Walmart tray made of wood, a wooden tray, and refinished it to make it very, very colorful. Um, I used two different kinds of paint, which was kind of interesting because it had its own nuance. So I used a paint couture, which is a chalk mineral paint with a built-in, um, not primer, but a built-in top coat. And I also used a Dixie Belle chalk paint. So they blended well together as paints. The blend itself was tricky because of the color. So they weren't colors from the same spectrum. So it was tricky blending them, but I don't mind that. I don't really worry about that because I know eventually with enough layers, I'm going to get them to create their blend together. Um, Sometimes blends are really easy in that the colors are very like on the same part of the color spectrum. So they blend together really easily and you can get it done more quickly. This took some time, but I really didn't mind that. Just a little piece. I was only doing the top. So I think I would say I didn't record them all, but it was probably at least 5 separate coats of paint. Now they happen quickly because it's summertime. It's not too humid and they did dry. So I think I did 4 coats in one day. Then I did 2 or 3 coats. So actually maybe 7 coats altogether with the paints itself. And I did that the next day. Um, and we got it. And it's fine. And I really, really like the way it came out. I love it's almost like, I don't know, it's a really different kind of blend. It's almost like you're looking at the sun rising on one side into the sky. It's really just cool. It's like a depth. It adds a depth that you might not get when the colors are close together in the color spectrum. And then because they were two different types of paint substrates, the transfers went on very differently. The redesign with Prima transfers went on, they went on, but it was very difficult. I also had some wrinkling that I had to work out. I had a few bubbles that I had to push down, something that doesn't usually happen when you're using a dry chalk paint. So with the redesign with Prima, they go on with on a dry paint unfinished, and that's the way they work best. You can do it otherwise, but it's harder, and sometimes you might get some pulling, you might get some lifting, some wrinkling. Um, but it was fine. It's fine. I'm not really too concerned about that because I know I'll get it if I work hard enough. Usually, not always. And then what I did was I layered the transfers over one another, and I think it just created a nice splash of color. And then we did some, I think it's iron gold or something like that. It's a very dull gold gilding wax in just a floral stencil around it, just to kind of enhance it, give it a little bit more depth. I have acrylic clear coat spray over it. I have lacquer spray over it. And then I have, as a final, semi-final coat, I have the General Finishes flat clear coat. And then overall is the Howard's Citrus Shield. So that takes about 30 days to really cure. But once that is cured, it's a very, very good surface for wet things. Now, is it going to mar the surface if you leave a wet glass on it? Sure. But just taken care of regularly. If it gets wet, wipe it. You know, don't use furniture polishes on these things and whatever. It's going to hold up really well. I love the way it came out. The legs are just the one paint couture color, and I don't show it, but I had it upside down on my Lazy Susan, and I just went around and around and around. By the time I got from one side to the other side, the original side was dry, so I could just keep adding layers of paint, and I probably put on at least 4 coats of paint on the legs to make sure. And again, those have the acrylic clear coat and they have the lacquer. Those are the only finishes that are on the legs. The top is the one that has the additional finishes. yeah, I had to do a little fixing in the beginning and sand it down, but it was fine. So I took an $11 Walmart tray, and it's really kind of cute, I think. I like it. I love the colors. Yeah, I would definitely recommend doing it. And I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, so thank you for watching the video. I hope you'd give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, would you consider subscribing? And it helps get more activity through YouTube on the videos. And yeah, click the notification bell. That way you'll get all the notifications of any content that I put out on this channel. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I wish you all good and beautiful things. Take care.